All right, Algebra 2, welcome to your Chapter 8 game plan video here. Looking at page 2 here in your game plan. I want you guys to look here at number 3, finding the discontinuous points. All you have to do is simply set the denominator equal to 0, and I'd even listen to my own, look at my own instructions here. You don't even have to name. All you have to do is simply, on these first ones, set that equal to 0, x equals 3. You don't have to mention what it is. All right. On number 6, just simply set it equal to 0. You don't have to factor. You get x is -4 is your discontinuous points. Your discontinuous point. Now, on 7 through 10, and I'm going to do number 9 here with you, you do, again, this is page 2, you do have to describe why it's a discontinuous point. So, or what your discontinuous point is. So you do need a factor. So you factor the bottom, it's x minus 6, x plus 6. Set them both equal to 0. You get x equals 6, x equals -6. Notice how the x plus 6's canceled, as I wrote there. So because they cancel, that's a whole. Because x minus 6 equals 0 or x equals 6 did not cancel, that's a vertical asymptote. All right, folks, that is page 2. Let's take a look at what I got on page 3. Now, I did follow my directions. Find any discontinuous points. Simply set the bottom equal to 0. 4x minus 12 is 0. 4x is 12. X is 3. Factor out the x that they have in common. All right. So at the bottom, you have x. X plus 2 is 0. You get x equals 0. X equals -2. On 5 through 8, we have to describe whether it's an asymptote or a whole. So we do need a factor. We need to factor the top, x plus 5, x minus 5, all over x minus 5. You always make a little bit of noise there. I'm going to set the bottom equal to 0. X minus 5 is 0. You get x equals 5. And because it canceled, folks, x minus 5 by x minus 5, it was covered up. It is a whole. All right. Take a look at number 8 here. Factor the bottom. Take out the x they have in common. X plus 4. Notice how the x's will cancel, so x equals 0 is a whole because it was canceled. X plus 4 equals 0, or x equals -4 is a vertical asymptote. Now, folks, on practice 9.4, I have written them. That is page 4 in your game plan. I've written them here. Here's number 1, factor the top and the bottom. Notice how the x plus 5s will cancel, leaving you with 4/3. Number 8. In the top numerator there, factor out the x, leaving you with x minus 5. In the bottom, that's a difference of 2 perfect squares, x plus 5, x minus 5. Notice how the x minus 5s will cancel, and that will leave you with x over x plus 5. 10, the top factors would be x plus 8, x plus 5. The bottom is x minus 7, x plus 5. Again, the order doesn't matter there. The x plus 5s will cancel to give you x plus 8 over x minus 7. All right, some of the classes we started looking at something like 21. Folks, you need to factor everything. So first numerator, you're left with 5 times y minus 4 all over 3 times y plus 5. That's how that first fraction factors. The second fraction, you factor out the 7 they have in common, y plus 5. Factor out the 10 they have in common, y plus 4. Let's see what's going to cancel. Y plus 5 over y plus 5 gone. From elementary school, that will cancel with that. 1 times 7 is up top. All right, I just did it right there. So 1 times 7 gives you 7. Notice how the y minus 4 will stick around. In the bottom, you're going to have 3 times 2, which is 6, and then that y plus 4 will stay there. That's a perfect answer. All right, 24, again, we'll do everything else in class. We haven't talked about this officially in some classes yet. Folks, we can't divide with fractions. Instead, we can't divide by fractions, instead we multiply by the reciprocal. So I need to flip this. I'm going to multiply by x minus 2 over 4x plus 4. Now I went and factored the top here. Factor out the 6, you're left with x plus 1. And I'm going to multiply by, again, what I said there. So I'm going to factor the denominator in the second fraction, 4 times x plus 1. Notice how the x plus 1s will cancel, leaving you with 7 times 4 at the bottom, which is 28, and you can divide them both by 2. The x minus 2 will stay down below. All right. Let's take a look at 30 from that practice worksheet. Nothing will factor here. And in that first fraction, factor out the x, leaving you with x minus 5. Factor out the x, leaving you with x plus 3. As we talked about in some classes, as long as you have something north and south, they will cancel. Cancel, 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 cancel. Folks, when everything is canceled, it's not 0 but 1. All right, interesting question there. On 39, this is a good one. You're going to factor 4 times. Do that algebra 1 factoring. First fraction here, x minus 4, x minus 1. Second fraction, x plus 7, x minus 4. The next fraction, the numerator, x plus 3, x minus 1. Then x plus 7, x plus 3. Let's factor out what they have in common. X minus 4 is gone. Then you have... Well, so you have here the x plus 3s are gone. X minus 1, they're on the same side, so they're both north. They will not cancel with each other. Instead, they'll multiply. X minus 1 times x minus 1 is x minus 1 squared. The x plus 7 and the x plus 7s, they're both south. They will not cancel. They're on the same team. It'll be x plus 7 times x plus 7, or x plus 7 squared. All right, so that is that practice worksheets. I got more answers here on page 5. We did a few of these in class. In fact, you saw some of these on page 3, I believe. Just simplify. Up top, factor out the x they have in common. Down below, factor out the x they have in common, and the x's there will cancel, leaving you with x plus 1 over x minus 2. Number 2, factor out the x they have in common. You have x times x minus 3. In the bottom, you have x minus 3 times x plus 3, and then that's going to cancel, leaving you with x over x plus 3. All right, lastly here, let's look at number 6. Top doesn't factor at all. In the bottom, factor out the x they have in common. You're going to have x times x plus 9, and the x's will cancel, leaving you with 3 over x plus 9. Down at 8s, so the bottom factors pretty quickly. It's x plus 7, x plus 3. The top, you're going to take out a 3, folks, first, and then you're going to have x squared minus 9. Well, x squared minus 9 factors would be x minus 3, x plus 3. So then you can see that the x plus 3's cancel, leaving you with 3 times x minus 3 over x plus 7. Next page, page 6. I did 3 for you. Factor really 3 different things here. The first numerator, x plus 4, x plus 3. First denominator, x plus... Oh, actually, as we saw in Algebra 2, folks, notice how that's the exact same thing, north and south. So right away, it's kind of a silly question. Right away, they just go bye-bye. Okay? And then that x plus 4 doesn't get factored. So like I said before, those are gone. X plus 4 would cancel. You're just left with that x plus 3. All right, on number 4 here, the 3x and x won't factor. Factor out the 3 they have in common, leaving you with x plus 1. Factor out the 10 they have in common, leaving you with x plus 1s. The x plus 1s will cancel. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. The x over x will cancel. The 3 over 3 will cancel. Your final answer is just going to be that 10. 10 over 1 is just 10. All right. Again, on 7, we do not divide by a fraction. Instead, we multiply by the flip it good, the reciprocal. So 15x squared goes up top. X plus 2 stays down below. That 2x plus 4 will be 2 times x plus 2. And those x plus 2s will cancel. All right, and then notice how that x will cancel with that x. And then I can do 15 and 10. I can divide them both by 5, leaving you with 3 over 2. And then 2 will cancel with 2. You are going to be simply left with 3 times x. Now, I did that another way right here, and you're still left with 3x. All right, so that is page 6. Going to look at page 7 here. Again, you're going to need a separate sheet of paper, so I have one right here. I did 15 for you first. To add fractions, you need the same denominator. So 7/21. I can make 7 into 21 by multiplying this first fraction by 3 over 3. This has x squared. That only has x, so I need to multiply this fraction by x over x. This has y squared. This only has y, so that's why this gets the y over y. So 3y times 3 is 9y, plus 4 times x is 4x. That common denominator is 21, x squared, y squared. That's how we add those fractions. All right, so on 22, anytime I have something that's kind of whole here. It's going to be 4x over 1. So just give it the other denominator. Give it the x minus 9 over x minus 9. Now my common denominator will be x minus 9. I'm going to have 3 plus this product. That's 4x squared minus 36x. And I'm just going to put it in order right there. All right. Order of exponents, that is. On 26, that has an a minus 2, so give it that has the a plus 2, so give it what the other one has, a minus 2 over a minus 2. This one has the a minus 2, so give it what the other one has, a plus 2 over a plus 2. Distribute a 2a squared minus 4a plus distribute 3a squared plus 6a. Common denominator is a plus 2, a minus 2. In some classes, we might have written that as a squared minus 4, which that is. Combine like terms up top, you're going to have 5a squared plus 2a. All right, on 28, you have the same denominator, so you can add them up right away. Your common denominator there is f, g, h. F plus f is 2f, plus 1, or 1 plus a negative 1 is 0. Notice how the f's will cancel. You have 2 over gh. On 32, again, I don't divide by fraction. Instead, I multiply that numerator by the reciprocal of what I'm dividing by. So I'm going to multiply by y over 3. I literally do 2 times y, 2y over 3 times x, 3x. And there we go. And I did go a little out of order here. I just put maybe 2 easier ones from page 7 on here. So let's look at number 11. Notice you have the same denominator, so simply put the numerators together. Y squared minus 5 is your denominator. 6y plus 3y is 9y. Negative 4 plus 1 is a negative 3. A common denominator is going to be 12. I can make 6 into 12 by multiplying this by 2 over 2. Again, if I multiply by 2 over 2, that's multiplying by 1. That's really not changing that value at all. Okay, so that's going to be now 2x that I'm adding to x squared minus 2. So x squared minus 2 plus 2x all over 12, and I just rearranged the order up top. That is page 7. Let's take a look at page 8. Practice worksheet 9.6. I did number 2. Folks, cross multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. X times x is x squared. If x squared is 16, x is plus or minus 4. We got a lot of cross multiplying. On number 4, there's a negative on the outside, but just put the negative with the numerator. You have negative 4 times 3x plus 1 equals 5 times x plus 1. All right, so distribute and just solve that. You're going to get negative 9 over 17. That's not too bad at all. All right, continuing on there, looking at, again, if I go out of order, it's no big deal. Let's take a look at number 11. 12 times x minus 3, which is over here, equals 6 times 6 minus x. Distribute. Notice how the 36's cancel. So right away you might be thinking the only way that's correct is if it's 0. You can move the 12x over here and you could have 6x equals 0, or you can move the 6x over here and have 0 equals negative 6x. Either way, x is 0. Now, 21, folks, I don't simply have one fraction equals another. Folks, if the denominators are all equal and I have a congruency statement like this, then the numerators will have to make a congruency statement, a true statement. So common denominator of 5, 6, 2, and 6 will be 30. So give this 6 over 6, 5 over 5, 15 over 15, and 5 over 5. If all the denominators are 30 and I have something plus something equals something minus something, then I can just drop the denominators, and I know that 6 times 2y plus 2 times 5 will have to equal 15 times y minus 5 times 1, which is that. You get y is 5. Again, we'll talk about this more in class. Same type of thing here. I'm not going to cross multiply. Instead, I believe I factored, if you look at 23, I factored x squared minus 4 to give you x minus 2x plus 2. This has x minus 2, so it gets an x plus 2 over x plus 2. This has an x plus 2, so it gets an x minus 2 over x minus 2. If all the denominators are the same, then I can forget about the denominators, and I can say this plus this equals that. And that's what I have here. I need to distribute. And I get x is 0 again. All right, on that page again, I do go backwards here in a sec, but take a look at 32. Common denominator is y minus 5, so call 4 over 1 and give it y minus 5 over y minus 5. Then 4 times y minus 5 plus 2y will have to equal 8. And I wrote that exactly. I get 14 over 3, which is 28 over 6, which is 4.6 repeating. All right, so going back to cross multiplying, there we go. 6 times 2x minus 3 is 4 times 2x minus 5. Get x as a negative 1/2, I believe. And then here on number 10, cross multiply 4 times x minus 1 is equal to 6 times x. And you're going to get negative 2. That's it for page 8. Going to look at our last few pages here, which you can write in the game plan. This is page 9, number 2. I can add the fractions together because I have the same common denominator. X minus 3 plus x minus 1 will give you 2x minus 4 all over 3x plus 1. On number 6, I'm going to factor this denominator, x plus 3x minus 3. This has the x plus 3, so it needs x minus 3 over x minus 3. What you're going to do is distribute. That's the x squared. That's the negative 3x minus 6x. Negative 3x minus 6x is negative 9x. Common denominator is x plus 3x minus 3. Or x squared minus 9. You can write this like that too. All right. This has a 4. This doesn't, so it gets 4 over 4. This has x squared. This just has x, so it gets x over x. 3x minus 8 is the numerator. 4x squared is the common denominator. On 9, again, I do not divide by fraction. Instead, I multiply by the reciprocal of what I'm dividing by. So x plus y goes up top, 3 goes down below. The x plus y's will cancel. You're left with 4 over 3. Same thing on 10. You're going to do 2/5 times, flip it, x over 3. You're going to have 2x over 15. All right, page 10 here. This is a 9-6 review. Let's cross multiply. 1 times x plus 2. Again, 1 times x plus 2 is just x plus 2 equals 2 times x minus 3. We get 8. All right, and then I just showed here, it's going to be 3 times x plus 2 equals 4 times 2x minus 5. Just cross multiply there. All right, you guys can do that. Number 4, I set that up again. 4 times x plus 2 equals 3 times 2x minus 3. That's 4x plus 8 equals 6x minus 9. I believe you get like 8.5. That looks pretty good. All right, this next one, you're going to have 3 times x minus 2 equals 2 times x. And I did solve that one. X equals 6. Now, you could cross multiply here. That's fine. In fact, a lot of you just might do that. Notice here, that's x minus 5, x plus 5. So I simply gave this just x plus 5 over x plus 5. Then you would have this equals that. Or, and you get no solution actually. Or you could cross multiply. Again, when I have one fraction equals another, a lot of times you just cross multiply. So that will give you x squared minus 25. I'm going to write it over here. You'd have x squared minus 25 equals x times x minus 5. And if you solve that, let's see, did we make a... I don't think we made a boo-boo there. Oh no, this is going to be actually a very interesting answer. So you'll see, here we clearly get 5 equals 0. That's no solution. If we solve this though, some of you guys, if you've done this already, might ask, well, how'd you get no solution? Because here, only the x squareds cancel, and you're clearly left with negative 25 equals negative 5x, right? And that gives you an answer of x equals 5. You're like, how in the world do I get no solution? Well, folks, put 5 in for x. What do you get? You get 1 over 0, and you can't have that. That's undefined. So that's called an extraneous solution. If I solve this, I see that if that makes my denominator 0. I would get 1 over 5 equals 5 over 0, which is false. Both are false statements, undefined. So we'll talk more about 8s in class because I think that's going to happen on another one of these. I'll talk about how you got to check your solutions a lot. All right, very last page. You can cross multiply multiply, or you can do what I did. The bottom is x minus 5, x plus 5. This has the x minus 5, so I'm going to give it x plus 5 or x plus 5. If the denominators are the same, then the numerators will have to be equal, like I did there. Again, you can cross multiply. 13, I simply cross multiplied. I get x equals -1. And 14, I made all the denominators 6x. That has an x, so this gets x. The common denominator of 2, 6, and 1 would be 6. So this gets a 3x over 3x, x over x, and that gets 6 over 6. So the denominators are all 6x, so the numerators would have to make a true statement. Ooh, and I have to factor there. We'll talk more about that one in class. And lastly, 16 cross multiply. Believe you're going to get x is 1. You definitely get x is 1. All right, folks, that is your game plan videos. This is one of the longer videos we've had over everything in Chapter 8. That is it. We're going to take our time with the rest of the chapter. This is Yak Math Videos signing out.